Is it live? Trying a new intro countdown timer. That's not all I've been working on, but hi, welcome back everyone. Jams and Drams Sunday evening, hanging out on my guitar, having a whiskey and doing some practice, answering some questions, bits of teaching, that kind of thing. Quite a few gremlins again with the technical side of things. It's just an ongoing theme, isn't it? Just going to wait for a few more people to join because of that. Basically what happened was I've got two connections to the internet here. So one is with the satellite dish, a musknet as I refer to it as, and then the standard house sort of normal old-fashioned internet line, which is super slow, but weirdly for live streaming it's better than the dish thing, than the satellite one. And I'd forgot to connect to the right network, so when I initially started the stream I was on the wrong one and it just crapped out. So apologies for if you kind of jumped on and it disappeared. But yeah, so everyone could just, as usual, just let me know in the comments if you can see and hear me, or am I just talking to no one and my mouth's moving and there's no sound. Can you hear my voice? Can you hear the guitar? Yeah, so I've got a few things to do today. First is to say that I've got a final couple of videos with the anniversary discount code of the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course. So it should be a link in the description if it's copied over from the failed stream. So this is the 5-hour course on 2-point system visualization that I produced with my good mate Tom Quell. And you can grab $55 off with the discount code 1 year. So I was kind of out of action for a couple of months and got a couple of videos with this discount code still to get out, and this is the final one, so this particular discount code won't occur again. It's limited to 2 weeks, so if you want to grab it, I know there's a couple of you last week in the stream that mentioned that the code, is there a code? And so yeah, there is currently that one. If you have any issues or questions or problems, just let me know in chat. And yeah, and I think housekeeping wise, and never got much else to say. I'm getting there with the stream now, despite my problems, and I've got for the whiskey this week, because I always forget to do this, it's Jams and Drams and then I forget to do it. I'm slightly aware that there's no this hasn't gone out particularly well by the looks of it. If anyone watching, just let me know it's working. Got a fantastic discount on Ardbeg 10, so for the whiskey this week. If you're in the UK, Sainsbury's, Nectar Points. So this is what I'm drinking. And I'm going to do some, and the original plan for the stream was to do like a crowdsourced, like playing over changes thing. Although it didn't quite go to plan with the post. So haven't quite figured out the sort of engagement process with making community posts and things. So I didn't quite get enough sourced in time. So maybe we can do that today in the chat. If not, my backup plan was this real book roulette thing I'm going to talk about. Hi Bobby, good. Thanks for letting me know that. And that's fantastic. Much appreciated. And happy Easter to you too. Of course it is Easter if you're celebrating that. That feels a little odd, toasting Jesus' return with a whiskey. But yeah, Ardbeg 10. Yeah, so the original plan was to do, and I still am going to do this at some point, to do like a stream with the solo app with my other camera. While I was setting up yesterday, I was rushing before getting out to a gig, knocked over, got a big C stand here with the other camera on, knocked that over, and I think it's okay. I've done this twice now, where I've bashed my head into the C stand with whatever camera or microphones on top, and basically and knocked it over once before. And so I just, rather than risk that not working today, I'm going to hold that off until I can properly test that camera's working fine. But it should be eventually like an angle onto the phone, so I can do some stuff with the solo app. That is coming. Speaking of solo app, you can grab that and linked in the comments as well. It's version 2.0 with the custom chord changes feature as well that we've released. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's all the housekeeping stuff. As always, this is just a chance for me to commit to some practice time, commit to doing something regular weekly, and yeah, see what comes up. If you want to derail me, do feel free. You can ask whatever you like in the comments, ask me any questions you like, I'm happy to answer. And if you want any suggestions for things. So one of the things that when I was doing a lot of deep practice 10 years ago, one of the skills that I wanted to sort of nurture and cultivate was this ability to kind of just look at a set of chord changes, ideally even hear them, although that's still very much a work in progress, and try to play over them. This stemmed back from, I think I've probably said this before, this stemmed back from like being in the situations. You've probably all experienced it where you have to take a solo over a chord progression that you've never seen before or heard of it before, and you feel massively out of your depth. And as a much younger blues rock shredder being thrust into jazz college first year back in the early millennium years, that was something that was totally terrifying to me. And so when I wanted to try and like really, and I didn't really at the time, I didn't rise to the challenge, but it was one of those things I always wanted to sort of conquer. And I think one of the, I think it's a really important, valuable skill, and one that I'm really pleased I've worked on. It allows me to have like a baseline of, not baseline, it's a terrible word to use, but like it allows me to have like a core, I use the phrase core minimal skill set of, to be able to do certain things. And I think it's one of the things that I've worked on pretty extensively, and it's definitely something that I think you can, if you work on it, then it never really leaves you. It's one of the things like with sight reading dots and notations, like even tab to an extent, there can be certain atrophy where if you don't use it, you lose it. Think with like fretboard visualization and kind of reading chord charts at sight and kind of like mapping. That doesn't seem to go, even if I don't practice it tons. It's not something that I have to like bat the ball up in the air continuously, otherwise, you know, it deflates and I lose it completely. Although I might be setting myself up for a massive failure here if I try and do this and demonstrate it and it doesn't work. Excuse me, I'm still getting over, probably here, still getting over this cold. Yeah, so, yep, as long as everybody. And yeah, let me know where you're watching from. I know there are some people now in the stream, so just, yeah, where are you based in the world? What have you been doing for Easter? Hope everybody is well and enjoying themselves. We've been having some fantastic weather in the UK today. It's one of those rare occasions where we get like, you know, we call them bank holidays in the UK. Yeah, so where, you know, if you're in the UK, you know, so everything kind of shuts down. We get several of these a year. And traditionally, the joke is that, you know, whenever there's a bank holiday and everyone gets like a day off, time off, the weather is awful. On a bank holiday weekend, traditionally, again, notoriously awful weather. Just like, it's like our holiday calendar controls the weather of the universe. But remarkably, today, Easter Sunday, it's been flipping warm and gorgeous. So doing some garden stuff and chicken stuff. Got some chickens. And yeah, barbecue as well. So it was mini barbecue. Mr. Wet Duck, great to have you here, my friend. Great to have you back. And James, love what you do. Fantastic player. That's very kind, man. Cheers. Thanks, James. I think I am, don't know, it's all relative, but I'll take it. Thanks. On the jazz guitar again, because I'm relatively... Oh, we got a whiskey one. Hey, Giorgio. How you doing? You've got an absolute banger there. That's the hard stuff. Abaloa, Abuna. Yeah, no, that was well. Very good, very good. Yeah, nice, very nice. Canada in the house. Awesome. Do you get bank holidays there, Mr. Wet Duck? Is that, or do you call them something else, or? I wonder if, like, with the link. So as always, if you're just joining, welcome. We've been not really got going just yet. It's been a little bit of a sleepy, sunny bank holiday day, and still getting over this cold. I had a technical error connected to my wrong internet connection, but we will get going properly shortly. Orkney, fantastic. Just going to turn off my notifications. Cool. Okay. So, friend, student, ex-student, James Amber, I hope you're watching. If you're watching this on catch up, I'm sure you've got Easter things to do. But I'll try and answer some of your question related to like visualization and language. Just pull that up actually and just refresh my memory of what you suggested. Thanks for that, by the way. Gives me something to talk about. Yeah, interesting topic on focusing, visualizing the fretboard as opposed to learning vocabulary. It's quite a revelation to me to put aside trying to sound good in order to focus on visualization. Yeah. So there's this. It's interesting. It's interesting that sounding good is like a. I don't know. Don't know whether putting that aside is. It's weird, isn't it, to admit that, like, because it's not kind of hip or cool to say, okay, I'm going to temporarily put sounding good aside to address maybe some kind of core issues or defects with my kind of skill set ability. I think it can be very important, but at the same time you don't want to ever like let that linger. I think like trying to always come back to having parallel tracts of like practice is really important. Sounding good is like trying, hopefully, you know, the aim of sounding good is a prerequisite, but the reason why I sometimes say it's a useful thing to do is to say like, okay, well, I'm not going to necessarily worry about like tone, timing or language, all three like cornerstone, super important musical things that you should worry about. But like when we were developing the solo app, I've just found over the years that narrowing the focus onto specific things that you are in a deficit with is extremely useful. Now, I think maybe sometimes people, myself included, can get a little too obsessed with that. So it is worth keeping like a mental flag and to come back to it. And it's something that as my interests have sort of widened and changed and developed, like I have more of a, like definitely have more of a love now for like trying to learn the tunes and sort of developing language and vocabulary and things in a way that was the initial goal when I was trying to really do LID practice for what I'm going to be potentially doing today, was more about the kind of mapping visualization from like a purity perspective of just how can I see and find things on the guitar in the most efficient sort of minimal way. That was the that was for me is like trying to oh, bear with me a second. I think that's a washing line being delivered. Hello.
Oh, hi. Parcel, yeah.
Yeah.
7.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was. You probably heard that. So totally forgot what I was saying there. Yeah, need a new washing line. James, did you yourself have a tutor or did you just explore your own potential with hard practice? Oh, absolutely. I've had teachers. Been massively influenced as well, and I think I think it would be. Let's see about this. The best way of explaining it. So I had like, you know, guitar teachers as a kid. I think through music college I had guitar teachers, but it was definitely a difficult experience for me. They were great players, great teachers, but I didn't sort of gel. I guess, yeah, it's an interesting one because I think it's a combination. It's always a combination of things. I think anybody that says like, "Oh, I'm self-taught," is, I mean, maybe it's a formality if, you know, somebody has literally never sat down for a lesson with anybody. But even then, like, you know, it's just a semantic. It's a bit of a weird semantic thing, isn't it? Really, I mean, you're kind of, no, you're not isolated in a vacuum. Like even just listening to music, you know, watching people, it's like it's all kind of learning. The exploration process that you mentioned is super interesting though, because for me, like reading has been a big thing. Yeah, so studying, reading books, obviously listening to music a lot. um, um, yeah, so explore your own potential with hard practice. Yeah, I mean, the biggest change in my entire musical life, the biggest change for me was making the decision to start again. So I'd been playing for 20 years, was it? Probably 21 years. And I just realised just wasn't happy with how I was playing or where my skills were, and you know, wanted to sort of reset that. So that was 20, well, yeah, 20. Well, it's a long time ago now. But when I was in my, so I was 31. So it's 2013, 2014, and the goal really was to just come at the fretboard from as close to being as fresh as I could, like starting again. In fact, the video, hopefully that's going to go out tomorrow or Tuesday, is kind of looking at some of those kind of exercises and skills that I did to sort of remap and relearn, which I've also covered in my older Pathways to Jazz and Fusion playing courses. Some of the initial stuff that I did. Yeah, that's it. I think you're right there. Like having Wet Duck, having a great teacher. I think somebody that can obviously fast track things, like, and even if it's not like explicit lessons, just like being around people that are way better than you in conversation, musical or otherwise, and collaborating, playing, jamming, all that stuff is like gold. After I'd put some of the sort of hard work in, sort of 2013, 14, you know, I started hanging around with great guitar players, way better guitar players than me, and that was like dragged me up. I refer to it as starting with like the guitar hour stuff. So I think that was transformative, transformational, whichever of those words is correct English. But it takes absolute, takes ages. And I think like trying to be a little bit reflective on like not being harsh, not being like hard on yourself, and just accepting the reality, like maybe you'll reach a ceiling, maybe you won't. I mean, the chances are you're not going to practice as hard and exhaust your potential in terms of how far you can go, but the returns do become slightly diminishing as life gets in the way and as you age. So I think it's so important to find happiness and peace in the process and not the end goal. So the end goal could be, well, I want to like master fretboard visualization, or I want to memorize 100 chord melodies, or, you know, it could, whatever it might be. I want to have amazing ears. And having end goals is a useful sort of guiding post or anchor, but it's not going to like satisfy you, I think, because it's never enough. And I think I've been lucky and fortunate enough to meet and speak to enough of my kind of guitar heroes and peers that it doesn't matter how good you get, you're always just chasing the next thing, the next like oh well, I wish I was as good as X, or not in a sort of comparative way, but in a really, I think, what can become, what at one stage can be a very useful, motivating, driving you forward comparison, can become maybe an unhelpful thing. But it happens but it's just like a human psychology thing where, we just, no matter how good we get, there's always that little devil on the shoulder saying, you should be better. Look at Holsworth, or any kind of sort of great, super great player. And I think everybody I know, like, nobody's like full of themselves thinking, that's it, I've achieved peak, I've completed guitar. Because when you complete the even if you do achieve your current kind of goal, a new goal just opens up. So what I was talking about earlier on in terms of that skill set of just being able to kind of see a chord progression and kind of have a good stab at it, as soon as I could spend some years and develop the time and achieve that, just something else comes along that I want to be able to do. So like now I've got the kind of hunger for learning vocabulary and learning tunes and things. So I feel deficient, not good enough in that. And it's always just goalposts moving. And so just accepting that, being happy in the process, in the moment, sounds so wooey, but it's just incredibly helpful if you can enjoy just being in the moment, playing, and whatever your level is. That's interesting, James. You played for many years and needed a major reset. And you say you needed one, did you do that? How did you know? Please don't feel like you have to share that, but I mean, be interested to know. It's not something I necessarily recommend to everybody, because it's kind of it's a hard thing to admit. Like, if you've been playing for a long time, there's a lot of psychological identity wrapped up in who you are. It's like, this is what I've spent 20 years doing. Being able to look in the mirror and say to yourself, yeah, I've spent 20 years potentially not doing something optimal, and I need to make some big changes, is not the easiest thing to do. But then, that links back to what I was saying previously. If you kind of enjoy, if you enjoy the process, then it sort of doesn't matter. The ego and the end goal is sort of, you kind of sidestep it. You're making a different move psychologically that I think allows a deeper form of progress to actually happen. Yeah, I did a deleted quick hang yesterday with one of my cats. Old man shreds. Yeah, it took me a time to calm down and just enjoy the ride. Yeah, it does. It takes time. It takes it's one of those things that you just as a maturity thing probably, which old man shreds is, I'm sure you have some wisdom and maturity there in giving your username. And Mr. Wet Duck, there's no finishing line. I'm growing, so agreed. Love to learn to love the process and just have a time of joy. Well, yeah, that's it. I think so. So why don't I shut up talking for a second and see if I can. So I titled this. I wanted to title it after the first stream kind of crapped out. I wanted to title it "Surviving Musknet," but felt like there's a bit too much connotations to that now. So what do I mean, surviving real book roulette? Well, it was tying back to what I was talking about earlier on, where like this idea of just like random just chord progressions, random tunes, etc. One of the things that I loved to do when I was doing all this deep practice is to just like choose like got a couple of regulars. So hey Jason, good to see you, man. I am feeling much better. Still a little bit groggy, still a little bit with my sinus infection, but thank you for asking. Yeah, and happy Easter. Yeah, cool. So one of the things that I would do is just kind of like just shuffle the real book. So obviously you could do this, and I have done it with people, just the actual book itself, just okay. And just go. And kind of a modern way to do it is to do it with like iReal. So so iReal Pro. And now, okay. So one of the things that I would do is make playlists, and when I sort of come across tunes that I like, or just I find interesting progressions, I just make playlists. I've got one here that's like got like 130 odd in, so I can sort of alphabetize it or shuffle, and basically just choose something at random that. So at various points I will have played through all these things. So this one, Ambleside in 4, I mean, it's actually not a bad example at all, actually, but it doesn't quite, it's a little odd at the time. It's usually 3. Yeah, so like, let's do some. So iReal's going to sound janky as hell. But I'm just going to do some practice now and see how we go. Let me know if the balance is all right here. So obviously I'm not learning the tune, I'm not doing all of the things that you're supposed to do as well, but it's just this like, practice, being able to kind of, and you know, I'm just like just spaffing over that, but I could do something a little bit more rigid. Like, I could do like, just going to adjust the volume a little bit. Oh, that doesn't work over that side, does it? Every day, grab my Les Paul solo app. Yeah, good stuff. Good to hear it, Giorgio. Excuse me. Thanks, old man. So we could do something a little bit more solo app related. Can't actually use the app right now, but I could like just force those kind of exercises onto me. So I could do like fixed limited information. Thanks, old man. So the mic, and what about the guitar? Is the guitar and iReal relatively okay? If it's just the mic, I can adjust that. Let me know. Thanks. So I might, as to how long I spend on stuff, I think back in the day I would just try and like just whiz through and not really spend too much time. Oh, Matheny. Matheny's always tricky because like triads for some reason can be tripping up, and there's a lot of slash chords, and slash chords is kind of like, it's not like a nemesis, well it is a nemesis, but there are a few instances where the 2-point system kind of is a little bit less, how can I phrase this, not as strong perhaps as its other things, and this is for me. So like slash chords and yeah, to diminish stuff. Just going to raise this mic up then. Hopefully that's a bit better. So yeah, I mean, you know, heard this tune, but never. I don't know if I've played it. So let's see. sometimes you get a win. Thanks, Solman. Thanks for watching. See you again. Mr. Wet Duck, icing the key first or just going straight for the changes? So that really depends on what comes up. That's a good question. I think, so you can see these things very vertically in complete isolation, or the bigger picture of the key. And I think it really depends on how functional the song is. So one way in which you can absolutely successfully play is to see the key and then fill in the gaps with the chord tones. That's one way, perspective of doing it. I absolutely do that, but I also look at things very vertically as well when necessary. So it depends on the kind of tune, the changes. So let's shuffle again. Let's roulette. Okay. So something like this is going to be, you know, look, I mean, the very thought of you, it's been a while. I'm going to be able to like analyze this functionally. Certainly I can see that first line there, A flat, etc. So this is like kind of functional. The problem is though, let me rephrase that. So it gets harder and harder. So if you are trying to see the more like sort of chromatic and the more sort of chromaticism that's introduced outside of the very raw diatonic 7 notes, guitar-wise, in terms of playing through that stuff, it can become very tricky very quickly, especially given the way that we kind of traditionally think about boxing and blocking off the neck. That's why I think other instrumentalists don't necessarily sort of struggle or suffer so much in the same way as we do. So, I don't know, I'm trying to think of another way of... but I think at the very least, like, You know, so I can, and I think a lot of this is like subconscious and all happens on multiple levels. But, and of course, this being a ballad, you know, this is not going to be, it's not going to sort of be too much of a struggle to. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, great question, David. Can you clarify what functional means? Is it functional versus improvisation? Okay, Jason. No, that's not what I mean. So yeah, I'll come back to Ray Noble in a bit. So functional, man, that's the whole. Maybe I can do a whole like kind of harmony stream at some point. That might be a useful thing to do. I'm gonna do. I can't do too much longer today, so maybe I'll come back to it. And I know I was a bit late, so I'm going to do another 15 minutes and have one more cheeky R Big 10, just as another heads up. It's like discounted massively on Sainsbury's Nectar card at the moment in the UK. So yeah, maybe I could do like a harmony series of streams, just talking through some stuff. So what I mean by functional is like, let's take it really, really simple. I mean, this would be like very much of a primer. Like, I don't know how much you guys know. It's kind of, this is always sort of hard to do in real time when someone's asking a question in the distance and I don't know you or anything. But if we just very much take the basics of like, if I just take a C major scale and harmonize it into chords that begin from each of the notes in that scale. So I would get I would get C major 7, and I label that as chord 1. And if I build a chord from the second degree of the scale, I get D minor 7, so that'd be label that as chord 2. Chord 3 would be on the E minor 7, from the E, F major 7, and so on all the way through until you come back up to C. Right, those numbers, so like the chord 1, okay, chord 2, 3, right, they all have a function in the key. So there are certain sounds that are, when you hear, you can't unhear them, or it's very hard to hear them in any other way, given our cultural background knowledge of songs and music and everything. It's very hard. If I play this chord progression, it's very hard to not hear the next chord. It's not impossible, but it's kind of, you're set up, given the function of this to this, you kind of really want to hear, which sounds very pleasing to resolve to that chord there. This would be a 2, 5, 1, which you may be aware of and have heard of. So that's what I mean by functional. Like in the song, when I'm looking at a progression, how can I kind of analyze and square the function of each chord into the key that the piece is written in? And not all music you can. Now, most music is functional. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the vast majority of music is like we call it. Another word is tonal or functional. And most music it falls into that category in one sense or another, with major tonality and major function, or minor tonality, minor function, or more chordal loops and folk-based functions and things, or modal functions, things like that. But yeah, you totally get non-functional harmony too. In fact, the little experiment I was going to try and do by trying to crowdsource chords would have been a total non-functional potential disaster, just random sort of sounds. And then you can kind of split the difference. You can get music that has pockets of very strong function and then parts that are not function. And function extends like it's a fascinating, a subject I'm absolutely obsessed with in terms of the harmony. Like there's a real deep beauty to how you can sort of functionally analyze the tonality of sort of songs, and I find that really fascinating. So I don't know if that makes sense. I can't go super deep on that right now because it's just not going to happen in sort of 10 minutes. If that was all completely alien to you guys, just let me know, and I can make note of that for something to cover again in more detail. If it was super easy and you know all that already, I can talk a bit more about something else at the next stage. Yeah, just let me know in the comments. And I'm gonna have another shuffle. Sorry, Ray. Ah, sometimes you don't get a win. Got a match. Ah, my goodness. I can't remember it, of course. I'm never going to be able to play this. Even at this speed. That's the head of it. This is really fun. It's like burning chick fusion. I can't pick that anymore. I'll have to, maybe that's an experiment I might do. I might try and learn to hybrid that fluently. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never tried it. I remember doing this at college, trying to do this in music college, and oh, you can't see it, can you, idiot, BB? Okay, so yeah, shuffled, and I got this Chicory tune and got a match. Big, dirty electric band fusion tune, and it's like, I think it's like 300 BPM or something. Absolutely insane. So I tried to do it in college and and I don't have the pick in hand either. But, you know, principle's the same. Oh, that's a beautiful one. Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to come back to this in another stream. I'm going to do this. I haven't got as much time today, but yeah, this is something I would practice for hours upon hours, just, you know. And there's like I mean, that's like 130 that I've collected over a certain amount of time, but like, if you take like the standard iReal 1400 playlist thing, you could do it with that. It's like so many. Problem there, like if you're doing it totally blank slate with like all 1400, is you're going to run into potential odd things. But you know, it's fine. You can still do that. And I think I've spent so many hours doing it. It's kind of built this kind of base foundation of being able to and that's not just at sight, without seeing things cold, or I've seen these before, but just like with some practice and actually working on things, and then all the other stuff we're talking about in terms of all the really important things of building language and building good tone and all that stuff. When you it allows you to sort of concentrate more on that if you don't have to think so like super hard about what notes are. Okay, yeah, cool. So in fact, I'll do one more thing then, and just talk about the engine, because when we if we kind of give a picture analogy, if we go back to like just the chords in the key of C major, 1 to 7, we can like group these together into groups. So like chord 1, chord 3, and chord 6 are all like in the same group family. They provide the same function. We call it tonic function. So chord 1, chord 3, chord 6 are tonic function, and they all sound and feel like home. So home is C, but then chord 3 and chord 6 can all substitute for home. So when you go there, it kind of feels familiar, feels like home-ish. It's like your holiday home or vacation home. But they're related very much to the main tonic chord of home, chord 1. And ultimately they share many of the same notes. They only differ from C major 7 by one note. So we have tonic, and that's like one part of an engine. This engine of harmony that I kind of liken it to. So, and then chord 2. This is if you know, so I've been playing these chords, these tonic chords, C major 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, and it doesn't really feel like anything's happened or changed all that much. So because they're related, they sound very similar. So it doesn't feel like I've gone anywhere. I've created, if I move between these 3 chords, I've got some movement, yeah, because the pitches are changing, the timbre is changing, but the overall function isn't changing really. It's very familiar, and it creates a sense of like stasis, or it's kind of static, but with some moderate interest. But if I move to chord 2, if I go now from C to chord 2, there's like this gear shift. I'm in the key, but like you really feel like something's happened, like because that is just ostensibly different to and the C major ones. So I've gone to that too, and there's like nuts and bolts as to why this actually has got such a strong shift in feeling. I'm not going to go into it today. Maybe I can do it on another stream. If you guys are into this harmony stuff, and you know, I can do harmony streams and talk about this stuff because it's my absolute passion. But when I go there to chord 2, this is a subdominant chord. So we call that. So the first family group we were talking were tonic, and they provide like the home tonic function. And then when we go to chord 2, refer to this as a subdominant function. Actually, also it shares that same job with its related chord 4. It's also subdominant function. And again, they share very similar notes. They differ only very slightly. and chord 2 and chord 4 are in the family of subdominant function, and they're another part of the engine, the harmony engine. So we have like the tonic function, those 3 chords, and we have the subdominant part of the engine function with the chord 2, D minor 7, and chord 4, F major 7. And then the final like powerful part of the engine, the real horsepower, is the dominant function, so chord 5. If I now go, so far we've not done chord 5. If I go to chord 5, again, I've really gone far from home now. You can hear and feel this tension in this chord. This is chord 5, a dominant chord. This is G dominant 7. And if you don't understand chord construction, you know, maybe dig into that and look at that a little bit. But yeah, you know, this is, we've built up here the tension on this dominant 7th chord, the tritone. And again, it sounds so different to the previous thing. So once again, we had tonic function, subdominant function, and then here, this is a dominant function. We also have chord 7, which isn't really dominant function. It's kind of sort of related, and it's very similar in that, you know, if I take chord 7, it's minor 7 flat 5. It's just a G9 dominant chord without the root, but you very rarely, if ever, see a chord 7 functioning as chord 7 in a piece of music. Minor 7 flat 5 chords are very important to music. They are absolutely used all the time in functional harmony, but in another setting, if something else, you don't ever really see chord 7 functioning as chord 7. So that really just leaves like the dominant chord 5 as its own kind of piece of the engine, you know, the puzzle, it's harmony part of the engine. So we've got these 3 kind of parts kind of operating, and you can sort of hear, this is why the 2-5-1 is so important, is that if I start on the 2 chord here, I start on 1 and then move to the 2. This is like moved away from home. It's got some movement, some interest, some tension, but it's not super tense. If I move from the 2 chord, from the subdominant function to chord 5, that's got the most amount of tension. It's set up in the construction of its intervals. It's got that tritone, which is the real engine, the real harmonic powerhouse of functional harmony. That's going to lead us back nicely to tonic function. And anytime you change function, anytime you move from like, you know, one group to another, you get this like gear shift where it sounds like you've moved somewhere. So maybe that helps explain some of what I was talking about with regards to function. It's kind of like just tip of the iceberg with it all really, but you can even strip it back even further, before chord construction, to just the notes in the major scale themselves. They have like function as well, and what we call tendencies. So then each note, there's almost like you can almost hear function in the scale without any chords. You can almost hear there's like a job each of the notes, or there's like a resolution point within the scale where each of the notes wants to move to or settle to, or again, just all coming off the back of the tritone in the key. So anyway, I've rambled on too long. But that's quite fun. I absolutely adore talking about harmony, as you can probably tell. So maybe I will do some streams. If you're wanting to, excuse me. So if you wanted to dig deeper into any of this stuff, I've got like harmony stuff on my website. Links are in the description. And if you're wanting to do the visualization stuff, obviously that solo app is linked, and also we've got that discount on the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course running. I've got 2 weeks left on this, and the discount code of 1 year if you haven't checked that out yet. That'd be much appreciated. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining me. And it's been a real fun stream, talking about harmony and doing some changes playing. Anyone got any other final questions before I wind this down? And bank holiday tomorrow. That's so I think it's going to be a day off. Basil, am I right remembering are you injured? Do I remember? Is that why you've not played? The solo app, where do I get the t-shirt? In the app there's a link, actually, believe it or not. We don't advertise this very much, and maybe I will do at some point, but if you go into pretty sure this is still there, Jason. If you go to the if you go into settings and scroll down to support Trio software, you can see t-shirts, posters and mugs. So it looks like the link's broken. Oh, is that just my phone? Have I just found a bug? This could be interesting. Ooh. I think I found a bug. Maybe that's just a beta version. Let me know, Jason, actually. If you go into settings, can you just check if those links work for me, where it goes in the support Trio software links? You can get the t-shirt from in the app normally though. Basil, yeah. Overwhelmed with life matters. Yeah, I hear you there, man. Sorry to hear that. I very much have life matters on my mind too. So I hope there's nothing too bad for you, man. I'm really glad you mentioned this, because maybe that's why we haven't sold any t-shirts. No, it's obviously not the reason. I'll send you the link on Patreon, Jason. But that's brilliant. Thanks for pointing that out and helping me find that issue. I will get that looked at with development, and that's really useful. Also, the feedback is the feedback and the rating working, Jason, on yours? Mine it isn't either. So something is broken. trying to create an email to send us feedback, etc., etc. Okay, great. Okay, we've got some bugs to work out in that version of the build. So, in fact, Jason, send me a message on Patreon, and I will, as a finding that bug, I will get you a Solo t-shirt. I will send one out to you myself as a thank you. Yeah, send me a message. Give me the address. Okay, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you next week. Can't believe I've managed 7 of these in a row now, so I'm really chuffed with that. Yeah, as always, if you've got any thoughts or suggestions, anything that you'd like to see me do, play, teach, talk about, whatever, potentially going to start doing the guest thing, bringing some other friends and people on, and expanding the scope of this a little bit. And yeah, until the meantime, hope everyone enjoys this. Apparently the weather tomorrow here is going to be like pretty nasty, so traditional Bank Holiday Monday weather, as I was saying earlier. But yeah, if you're not working, hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I'll see you, or you'll see me next week. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.